The interesting thing about it is I just feel like I've got to tell people what's on my mind, you know, and in terms of what other people do, I'm not uptight about that. I'm not feeling like I got to outshine somebody or something like that. All I can do is be who I am, put the message out that I want to put out, and we'll see what happens.
Governor Walker, another Midwestern governor who's been elected and reelected, he's saying here at this event something he's been saying of late, which is he's the only one, he says he's unique, the only one who's been a fighter for conservative causes and won elections. Is that factually accurate?
Well, I mean, I know he's a fighter, and I know he's won elections.
He says he's unique in that respect.
Well, look, the minute I say something about him, then it's like I'm going after him. What I'm saying to you is, look, I can tell you my record.
Yeah.
You know, it took me 10 years in Washington to get the budget balanced. It took me 10 years to ground the B-2 bomber so we could have standoff weapons. It was a very hard fight to get to a balanced budget in Ohio and run a surplus. And these are all tough things. And, you know, people have been good to me.
You've said some things of late about Jeb Bush that have caught people's ears, little wisecracks. I'm just wondering if you're feeling competitive with him at all.
No. I mean, I don't. All I said was that I thought in the beginning that he would just take up all the oxygen, and he hasn't. I'm not criticizing Jeb. I think he's a good guy. And I was just making an observation, because if I thought there was no path to victory, I wouldn't explore this. I was just making an observation, but, you know, it seems like anything you say now is under a microscope, so I got to think more like a scientist.
How would a scientist conduct himself?
Put everything
as a
under
potential
there.
Candidate?
Look at that. Look under that. No, I don't want to get out of who I am and not have fun. And you know, look, at the end of the day, if I win, if I get in and I win, it'll be great.
Yeah.
If I try my best and get in and try my best and I don't win, you know, I would have tried my best.
If you get in, you want to win, right?
I wouldn't get in if I didn't think. So that's what's holding us up. And look, I'm very optimistic about it. Things are kind of moving. I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you, that it's going probably better than I thought, and it's gone. There's been a lot of movement in a short period of time, so we'll decide soon.
Why don't more people know who you are?
People don't pay a lot of attention to, you know, what the heck is happening in Washington in terms of the budget committee. In Ohio, they know me, but I concentrated in Ohio. I didn't travel around the country preparing for any of this, so I don't know. I don't worry about that.
A couple things in the news I want to ask you about. Some people say, you know, there's now talk not just the 450 additional troops going into Iraq, but maybe more of these so-called lily pads. Some people say this is a slippery slope. Incrementally is a bad idea.
I said months ago we need to be part of a coalition to have boots on the ground if that's what it takes for us, and we need to go and stop ISIS and destroy them now.
Is your sense that rather than doing incrementally, if you were president today, you'd put substantial troops in now?
Well, first of all, you got to rebuild the Western Alliance, which is shaking. We all have common interests here. No one wants to see ISIS survive, including a number of our people with shared interests in the Middle East. So I would have built a coalition.
But if you're president today,
yeah.
I understand you'd say you'd do more than the current president has done. You'd say to build a coalition. But would your goal be to put substantial numbers of American troops on the ground now?
My goal would be to be part of a coalition, and your definitions of substantial and mine may be different.
Well, what number do you think is adequate to deal with the current
Mark,
threat?
You know, look, you know a lot about foreign policy. I spent 18 years studying it. I'm not going to tell you what those numbers are. That's what military commanders do. But the most important thing that a leader does, that a commander-in-chief does, is to rally the forces so that we can be effective, so we can deliver a knockout punch. And that's what needs to be done.
Leave politics aside. What would be the best tax system for the United States if you could just impose one?
Well,
for individual taxpayers.
I really want to focus now on the corporate side because we worry about workers' wages. We need to make sure that companies start investing in plant equipment and the tools that workers need to be productive so their wages could go up. In terms of the personal side of things, I'm not certain where I'm going to come out on that yet. We're looking at a lot of different plans. But what I do believe is the corporate profits from Europe need to be brought home. That whole system needs to be changed. So we're not giving people reason to invest in Europe rather than America. Our workers need to have the tools to be competitive so their wages will rise.
So let me ask you about a broad debate within the party. Senator Rubio and others say, let's have some new provisions in the tax code to help parents, working people, etc. Make the tax code more complicated, but add incentives. Other people would like to see get rid of some of those individual
look, what
rates
I'm most
and lower rates.
What I'm most interested in is a growth agenda, because
which is better, lowering rates?
Well, right now, I told you what I think is the most important thing to do, and that is to give these companies the incentives to invest instead of buying back stock and keeping their profits in Europe. And look, everything we should do, I like the idea of the kindness of conservatives, and we have to find that program that's going to spur the greatest amount of economic growth. Now, we've done that in Ohio.
What are two things you've learned about running for president, even though you did it once before, this time around, in terms of running for president today? What are two things you've learned so far about the prospect of running?
Well, the things I've learned is I don't think there's much difference between Republican and Democrat voters. They all have the same concerns. There's nothing I've learned, but I kind of learned that it's been confirmed. And secondly, I think you got to pace yourself. It's a marathon and not a sprint. And I have a lot of energy, and I need to know how to dose it out in the right way. And sort of like a cell phone, you don't want it to run down. You need to charge it throughout the day. So I'm kind of thinking about it.
Is there a front runner in the race?
That's up to you to decide. You're the great analyst, so.
Are you one of the front runners?
That's up to you to decide.
Still also up to me. All right, last question. Are the Cavaliers...
How am I doing on this discipline? Huh?
It's crazy. it's.
Well, I don't need to answer those questions.
I'm going to prepare differently for next time.
Yeah, you will.
Cavaliers going to win?
I'll tell you, I called it a month ago that they would, because I said they had a strong inside, and I don't think you win with lollipops and threes, but... they're down to like 7 guys. Everybody on the team is hurt, and they're exhausted. So that's going to be the question. Who steps up? Do I think they can still win? I have no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But their strength is their inside to outside. With the Warriors, nothing inside, really. Nothing inside. And so that's what they got to guard
against. Take this last
against.
question seriously. How are you most like LeBron James?
Well, you want to take it to the hole and make sure you score, right? That's very competitive.
Yeah.
Have fun, too.
And be a little regal.
I saw what he said last night. He said, it's just a basketball game. This is important, but it is just about politics, and there's a life yet to come.
And you still be a father and governor of Ohio, even if you don't get the third job.
Probably become a little better golfer, too.